So my name's Pohlman, and I originally started my career in sustainability, and a lot of that dealt with change agent work, and so I became a huge fan of the national park system. If I were going to reword this presentation, it would have been the John Muir system on how we win others over, but that wouldn't include a lot of pretty pictures of national parks. That'd just be men with really great facial hair. So, let's see. I went rogue and did Canva, so forgive me. Can I just? All right, as we're going backwards one maybe. So in 1903, Teddy Roosevelt went out to California. It was part of his tour to become president, and he met John Muir, and it was a 3-day camping trip with some men with really great facial hair. And basically, John Muir was there, and he was really passionate about, it was Yosemite National Park, and he was like, we've got to do a lot to actually preserve this place, but I'm just really going to show my passion and talk about, and we can go to the next slide whenever, talk about, all the different things that are here and what I know about. But then at night, I'm going to take this moment. Basically, we talked earlier about having that regrettable moment of silence or speaking. He didn't want to have that. So he actually took the moment and he took this president to the side. He said, we should really do more to protect these areas and to make sure that this is still here for future generations. Awesome. So before I get into the rest of the story, some key takeaways that experience really fostered empathy for that area from the president, and that passion became contagious. And so this can happen with anything that you're trying to do in your life, and as long as you know your product, you're passionate about it, and you're willing to take someone there, you can also create that empathy for that space. Thank you. So you could also say maybe this was luck, right? When you are prepared and you meet opportunity, you can have that moment of good luck where everything kind of just falls into place. But really, I think that taking that next step of preparation to make these connections is really where the magic happens. So I titled this about national parks and winning others over, and I know that winning others over is a strength in our Strength Finders. And that strength is really about making those connections with different people in order to progress your goals, not set limits, to really grow these relationships and to take what you're trying to do and take it to the next level. Some people really have this strength. It's not for everyone. So I wanted to talk about the different skills within WOO that actually can be used as a technique for anyone so that you can create those connections and foster that kind of true love for different things and build bonds through win-win situations. So in this presentation, and I'm going to try to keep up with some beautiful pictures of national parks, but we're also going to talk about 3 different examples where I look back to the things that I learned from John Muir and ways that actually helped me in my career. So the first one was with technology. I think technology can be very intimidating for a lot of people, especially when it changes or it changes quickly. And so I wanted to make it a fun experience when we had to change technologies in my field. So one of the things I did is, for every presentation except for this one, when I'm talking to engineers, I always try to relate it back to something they like and something that they can connect with, so I always do Back to the Future. But also giving that experiential learning, things you already know about. So next is modernization. We are all in this world where things are modernizing very quickly, and we want to make it as easy as possible for those who have to, they're affected on the back end of modernization, make it easy for them. So for me, in my first experience, it was actually with our landscaping crew, and they really did not believe that we could move to electric landscaping. So the first thing I did is I bought them the little Roomba. That's the electric lawnmower, and they were so enamored by it, so we got to keep moving forward. So give people the opportunity to get behind the wheel or in the park, show them that those improvements can actually help their own KPIs and hype it up. And then the last example that I had is programs. I think starting any kind of program can be very intimidating because you're basically asking other people, like, will you get on board with me to do something different and cool? And so I feel powerless sometimes and a little bit exhausted by starting new programs, so I definitely look to a guy that maybe wasn't the coolest and who also did this. So Muir, despite his beard and his ways of just sitting in nature, he created messages that employ that you're already a part of this, you're already in nature, you're already doing this. My examples here, like in the office, in the workspace, you can already show people how they are already doing things that are sustainable while you're asking them to become more sustainable. So we're back to pretty pictures. I wanted to give myself a few moments to wrap up here. Just everyone take a beat, circle back. And this is actually Hawaii National Park, and then over there is Arches. And then, so to wrap up the story with Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir, Roosevelt went back. He started the, not the national park system, but the Forestry Service. He did 5 national parks, and he became a great advocate for conservation and preservation just from those fireside chats. So I know you can take a horse to water, you can't always get them to drink. This could have gone very differently. So we know that making these connections and winning others over is not necessarily the only thing that's going to work here. So there's more. You really have to make these connections prior to when you're going to have the ask. Taking lunch breaks with people, or walking meetings with others, or creating that spark between you and someone else by writing a handwritten thank you note or doing something for them is really important before you start asking for change that you're asking for in the day-to-day. And obviously that's not going to work alone. So strategy, knowing the timing of when you're asking for things, waiting for the right time, the diligence of practicing over and over to make sure that you really know what you're asking for and you know that product and coffee. Thanks. So I love puffins and I love otters, and I just wanted you to think about what you could do with these skills as well. I wanted to give you that moment to say, okay, where have I had something in the workplace where I didn't take the person there, actually show it to them, and make that connection with them to have a win-win situation to try to make change. So in review, don't hesitate to use tips and tricks from people who have woo. Know the timing and the size of your ask when you're doing it. And just like Teddy Roosevelt said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.